Hello, everyone. Whichever part of India or the world you are tuning in from, I hope that the next 15 to 20 minutes will give you some insight into a certain part of history that has been severely underexposed for the last few decades. My name is Catherine Abraham, and you're listening to Chasing Hope. So let's get straight into the topic for today: the power of one. Interestingly, I came across this topic in one of the conversations with my late mother. It's a common thing in our house to share our faith, to share different perspectives about it, and in fact, have detailed discussions. It was during one of these discussions that we both came across the power of one. It is common knowledge that Christianity has spread across the globe in different ways. Through pamphleteering, volunteering, simple random chats with people. In fact, even the church's mission-run schools and colleges have played a pivotal role in actually spreading this religion and faith across. And yet, for a religion this widespread, it also has the singular distinction of being one of the most misunderstood religions of the world. We really haven't been too successful in sharing what Christianity really stands for. And it is my effort today that I can do my bit in actually sharing what my faith is all about, with both my Christian friends as well as my non-Christian friends. But before I get into the faith altogether, I want to share with you a little incident that happened with me a couple of years ago. We all hear a sentence, "You only have one chance." I did too. But I didn't quite understand the depth of this entire sentence until I experimented it for my own self. I was very excited to be applying for an international scholarship, and I thought to myself that this was going to be my big break. I really wanted to go abroad and study. And as time passed, I realized that there were just a few days left for the applications to be submitted. Suddenly, the workload stepped up. There was no in time, there was no out time. I was completely hemmed in at work. And by the time I knew it, the last day was gone. I thought to myself, what just happened? The impact of this particular incident was far greater because it was the last time I could have applied for this particular scholarship. I had already crossed the age by the time it would open the next time. So I realized, yes, the importance of time management, but more importantly, I realized the value of a chance, that one chance. Today is my first chance to connect with you, my dear friend. Not just as a listener, but as a confidant, as someone I can trust, as I explore my faith with you by my side. Now, it is a very known thing that a lot of people believe that Christianity is an exclusive faith. I'm here to tell you why it isn't. My friends, if Christianity were this rigid, exclusive faith, Jesus Christ would have straight away given the option of converting to Christianity to only the Jews. Why give this chance to Gentiles, non-Jews, when he, a Jew himself, was preaching and teaching and healing? But here's the thing, Even when he preached and healed and taught, he did it for all. And that is exactly what I'm here to share with you, that Christ was not exclusive, and so Christianity cannot be exclusive. In fact, one of the major reasons that Christianity is not an exclusive faith is because we are meant to be this little ray of hope for the world. We are here because God has entrusted us with an important job, and that job is for us to share the faith as is. Now remember, I keep saying the word faith, not religion, because the Christian religion, by and large, is an exclusive religion. Now, when I say that I am talking of the faith, what I mean to say is that even in the Bible, you will come across instances where people had a fallout, where people showed their differences very openly within the faith, within the religion. One of the most prominent examples that come to mind is that of Peter and Paul, two stalwarts and builders of the faith. The question that arose between them and had them in a gridlock was, can the uncircumcised be a part of the Christian faith? Now, God's answer was a big yes. Christ was never here only for the Jews. Christ was here for everyone. In fact, the tale of Christ and the Samaritan woman is one that is worth sharing at this point. He talked to her as a friend, not as a Jew versus a Samaritan. He shared his faith with her, and he shared his teaching with her. He invited her to be a part of the faith. He left her inspired to ask, who really is this ethereal and radiant Jew, and what is this faith that he talks about? There are multiple instances where Christ healed non-Jews. He was the healer of the body, mind, and soul because he touched every life. He inspired every person he came in contact with, irrespective of their faith or their denominations. So, by and large, the Christian faith is open to anyone who is feeling unsettled in life. You're feeling off key. Someone who feels that with all the busyness of his business and with all the wealth in the world, there is still something that is lacking. Jesus comes in at this point to fill up those gaps. Now, a practical question that is very often asked. But you Christians don't have multiple gods. You don't believe in our gods. Why should we listen to you? Well, they are valid questions. Of course, the Christian faith has only one God. In fact, even the Trinity does not signify multiple gods, but one entity with three distinct roles in human history and human life. So yes, one God, one faith, one baptism. But why is this oneness so important? Now, let me use an analogy here. You go to the market and you want to buy some mangoes. Will you, my friend, settle and compromise for any mango? The answer is a frank no. Why? Because even if there are a dozen stalls there, what would essentially happen is you would go, you would take your time, you would actually check for the best mangoes, and then you would pick the most appealing, juicy ones. Now, the question is, why won't you experiment with all of those mango stalls? Well, one, it isn't feasible. But the second and more important point is that you are not settling because you don't want to settle. You know that you only want the best. And that is the same even with God. He wants the best. He believes in the same picking process. He gives the Christians an edge over the rest because He wants us to use our own experiences, our challenges, our failures, our flaws as lessons for others. It is only when we humble ourselves in front of God that we realize how big God is and how small our problems are. That is why the Christian God teaches us that He is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. All that we need to do whenever we are in deep distress and deep difficulty, we just need to close our eyes and remember and recall on Him. It is at this time that He plays in our life actively. Now, I do realize some Christians say, but I feel better when I see an image or a carved sculpture of Christ. A common answer again. But how do we know that the image in front of us, the idol that has been so beautifully sculpted, is truly the image of the living Christ? Is there a historical evidence? In fact, is there any evidence that this is Christ? How then can we bow down to it? That is why one God, but no image. Interestingly, if you think that the power of one is again a very Christian exclusive or an Abrahamic religion exclusive, just have a look at neighboring Hinduism. You will see that despite the multiplicity of gods, they too have an Ishta Devata, a Kula Devata, and let's not forget the concept of Brahman, which also acknowledges the existence of one supreme God. So, despite our theological differences, we all agree with the power of one. Yes, Christians are caught in the offensive, where they reject everything that others have to say. In fact, they're even accused of rejecting people of other faiths. Now, I'm here to tell you that this is the wrong approach. Christianity teaches us to accept people for who they are. Even Jesus went, He taught, He healed the people, but He never told them, now you need to follow my path because I have helped you. He accepted people for who they are. We too need to do the same. We too need to accept people for who they are and not who we want them to be. Because if we are going to set these rigid standards, just remember, God would have every moral right then to abandon us for every tiny transgression and iniquity that we are guilty of. But instead, He brings to our lives hope and love and light instead. For the Christian faith to actually reach people, we need to define our ethos. It is my consistent effort from this point forward that through every episode of Chasing Hope, you are able to understand a very new aspect of Christianity. And despite all the adverse claims about Christian being a faith by itself, I want to show you how beautifully we have assimilated facts, historical evidences, and biblical proofs to prove that yes, the Christian faith has been growing substantially, not as a myth, not as a fiction, but as the truth, as reality. So, my friends, if you have enjoyed this introductory episode of Chasing Hope, please get in touch with us on Twitter, Facebook, and make sure that you share the good word with your friends. I look forward to seeing you the next time. And yes, don't forget that we will be having another very interesting episode shortly on the history of the Christian faith. So stay tuned. Thank you and good day.